Latest fallout of assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Good morning. Welcome to Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Budnam. I am thankful to all international news resources and my team. I am also thankful to all American, European, Canadian, Australian, Asian, African channels and AP, AFP and Reuters news agencies. Now watch the channels. Rather headlines. Suspects is a Republican Party member. Mr. Biden called for the unity in America. He stressed the power of ballot box. How to control the political violence in America? A big question. Republican Party National Convention in Milwaukee. Trump is in Milwaukee. Global leaders condemned assassination attempt. Israeli shelling killed 15 Palestinians in Gaza. Spain defeat England in Euro Cup, become the champion. French political situation is still unclear. Now watch the channels.
Tonight on PBS News Weekend, the very latest on the fallout from the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
It's only going to cause more division in this country. And there's enough already. You're going to see more.
Then combating the rise of political violence and violent rhetoric in the United States. And Judy Woodruff reflects on the shooting of Donald Trump at this volatile moment in American history. Good evening, I'm John Yang. It hadn't happened in more than 4 decades. Someone who'd been president of the United States shot in an assassination attempt. Former President Donald Trump's wounds aren't life-threatening, but last evening's shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania could take an already divisive presidential campaign into even more volatile waters. It began as a routine scene, a swing state campaign rally on a hot summer day. But as former President Donald Trump launched into his stump speech, everything changed in an instant.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump dropped straight down, sworn by Secret Service agents. When agents knew that snipers had shot the gunman, they raised Trump to his feet, the right side of his face bloodied. They hustled him to the safety of an armored SUV. This morning, in the Pittsburgh suburb of Bethel Park, about 50 miles south of the rally site, police and reporters descended, all trying to learn what they could about the man investigators identified as the suspected shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was a registered Republican and in 2021 contributed $15 to a liberal voter turnout group. The FBI is taking the lead in the investigation.
And we're still working through the security apparatus that the Secret Service had in place, what potentially happened. There's going to be a long investigation into exactly what took place and how the individual was able to get access to the location, what type of weapon he had.
Officials said the shooter was on a nearby rooftop beyond the area the Secret Service controlled. The shots killed a man attending the rally and critically wounded 2 others. Witnesses described the chaos.
All of a sudden, it sounds like firecrackers going off. But then I heard the shots, and then all of a sudden somebody hollers, "Get down on the ground," and everybody's going down on the ground as low as they can get.
It was very clear that someone had...
Service agents moved him off stage. His mood was clear. A clenched fist and the words, "Fight, fight." This is the week that Trump will be officially nominated at the Republican convention in Milwaukee, and that's where NewsHour anchors Amna Nawaz and Jeff Bennett are tonight. Amna, Jeff, I imagine things are going to be a little different now from what was originally planned.
John, I think that's fair to say. What was meant to be a celebration this week as Republican lawmakers and delegates will gather to officially nominate Donald Trump in the space behind us here, it's taken on a completely different tone in the wake of this assassination attempt.
Send it back to you.
Thanks, Jeff. Leaders around the world are condemning Saturday's assassination attempt. Across Europe to Asia and the Middle East, leaders of all political stripes express shock, condemn political violence, and express their wishes for Trump's recovery. There is other news. Shelling killed at least 15 people in Gaza City as Israeli military operations move forward. Despite that, Hamas says ceasefire negotiations are still on, but they accuse Israel of trying to derail them. And two familiar figures in Hollywood have died. Actress Shannon Doherty of Beverly Hills 90210 fame had breast cancer. She was 53 years old. And fitness icon Richard Simmons, known for high-energy workout videos, died one day after his 76th birthday. Still to come on PBS News Weekend. What can be done to fight the rise of political violence in the United States? And where yesterday fits in America's political history.
Global National, reporting tonight. Nitu Garcha.
The scene in Butler, Pennsylvania stands still tonight, with investigators combing through evidence where chaos unfolded one day ago as an attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump shocked the nation. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We are learning more about that attack on Trump happening against the backdrop of a deeply divided political landscape in the U.S. Gunfire erupted yesterday at a campaign rally, injuring Trump, who was hit in the ear, and claiming the life of a spectator. Two others were injured. The gunman was also killed. U.S. President Joe Biden saying today he called for an independent review of security measures in the lead up to the attack. And in a Sunday evening address from the Oval Office, he urged every American to take stock of where the country is at and reflect on how to move forward without violence.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics.
I'm Tom Yamas in Butler, Pennsylvania, at the site of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
And I'm Hallie Jackson in Washington with President Biden addressing the nation tonight. A special edition of Nightly News starts right now.
Tonight, new video of the moment shots were fired.
Take a look at what happened.
President Trump rushed to safety. New images of the sniper who took out the shooter.
But then we heard other shots where we thought that might be the Secret Service.
And new details on the gunman. His photo revealed as police surround his home.
He was quiet, like he was bullied so much.
The former president on camera showing the world he is okay, arriving in Milwaukee tonight with the Republican National Convention starting just hours from now as we learn more about his injuries.
His ear must have been nipped.
New questions tonight about how the shooter got so close.
So we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling.
As a community mourns the spectator killed while protecting his family.
Corey died a hero. Corey was the very best of us.
President Biden speaking to the nation today.
The assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for.
With an Oval Office address tonight, as the assassination attempt upends the race for president.
He'll keep fighting, and he should.
Tonight, the victims, the survivors, and the search for a way forward in America.
We need to all come together as a human race, We need to help each other out.
This is a special edition of NBC Nightly News. The attempted assassination of former President.
Tonight, a special edition of World News Tonight, the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Tonight, the gunman now identified what we know already. And did a local officer confront the gunman just moments before he started firing at former President Donald Trump? And tonight, here are the haunting images captured by a New York Times photographer. What appears to be a bullet flying past the former president's head. And President Biden addressing the nation just a short time ago. This evening, hear the investigation and the images now seen around the world. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. The gunman putting fire roughly 8.5 minutes after Trump took the stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. The bullet piercing his upper right ear. Trump's microphone picking up the screams of people yelling, "Get down." Inside the Secret Service response tonight, what the agent is saying on Trump's microphone. And the chilling photographs showing what authorities believe is a bullet flying by the former president's head. Trump reaching for his ear, the blood visible on his hand. The gunman firing from a rooftop less than 200 yards away. Now learning about the 3 adult men shot in the crowd. One did not survive. A firefighter, husband, and father of 2 daughters killed. Tonight, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro describing him as a girl dad, a hero who jumped onto loved ones to protect them. Rachel Scott in Pennsylvania. Tonight, stunning new details about the suspected shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Park, Pennsylvania. A law enforcement officer telling ABC News a local officer was on that roof and confronted the shooter seconds before he opened fire on Donald Trump. Reports the officer then fell, the shooter then turning back to open fire on the former president. Pierre Thomas standing by in Washington. Authorities tonight searching for a motive behind the attack, what they have found already, and what we're now learning about the gun, an AR-style rifle, who owned it. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky with what he's learned. The dramatic takedown of the gun apparatus tonight. It is the first time a Secret Service sniper has taken out a would-be assassin. All of this coming on the eve of the Republican National Convention. Trump saying he considered not going to Milwaukee tonight on his way. Jonathan Karl in Milwaukee for us. And President Biden addressing the nation tonight from the Oval Office, condemning the attempt on Donald Trump's life. The president tonight urging unity. A special edition of World News Tonight starts now.
All right, welcome on this Sunday back to another hour of The Story. Breaking right now, former President Trump has just spoken to Bret Baier. He says he is on his way here to Milwaukee for the RNC convention. He talked about some changes in the convention kicking off tomorrow. So let's bring Bret right in, anchor and executive editor of Special Report. Bret, good to have you with us. We've got a little competing warm-up music back here as they get ready for the week. But tell us a little bit about your conversation with the former president and current nominee.
Yep, we talked for about 15 minutes, and he said I could kind of express some of the things he talked about. He's in really great spirits. He is on his way to Milwaukee, leaving at 3:30. He made a Truth Social post about that, saying that you're not going to let the shooter affect any of his plans. Did consider delaying coming here to Milwaukee, but is moving forward with that. You know, I want to put up that video at the beginning of that speech and just give you his words about characterizing how that all went down. You know, at the speech, you see that he turns to the right. That's because there's this big graphic of immigration stats, about border security stats, and he wasn't doing it in his speech at that moment. Like, it was ahead of time, and he called up the graphic early, and so he turned sideways to look at the big graphic on the side, which is why his head is turned as he's looking that way. There you see it. And right at that moment, he gets this, what he calls like the biggest mosquito of his lifetime, or a bumblebee. That's what it feels like in his ear. And he realizes, he looks at his hand and it's blood, and he goes down. He said it happened so quickly, and then the Secret Service jump on him, and they're very strong. He really praised the Secret Service for acting as they did and protecting him. He also referenced this picture from Doug Mills, the New York Times photographer, and that bullet that you see there in the background, talking about it. He was amazed that it happened. He understands he's blessed to be where he is today. In fact, the doctor he said he talked to said if that bullet was a quarter of an inch different position, he would not be talking to that doctor today. He told me a number of things, but I asked about the convention, his thoughts about things and how he's thinking about it. He had a couple of posts on Truth Social that called for unity in the country, and he expressed that he is going to make that a theme.
Take a look at what happened.
Amid the chaos and panic of an attempt on his life, Donald Trump vowed to fight on. Tonight, on the eve of the Republican National Convention, the former president is doing just that. Defiance and calls for calm.
It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America.
As questions swirl, just who was the shooter, what was his motive, and how did he avoid security to try to assassinate a former U.S. president?
We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police are like, huh, what, you know?
Where this leaves the campaign and the country shaking. Fleeing an out-of-control wildfire in Labrador.
Panic sets in anyway, being forced out of home.
The community suddenly hosting thousands of evacuees. And soccer glory for Spain.
I can't talk, I can't breathe, I'm so excited.
heartbreak for England as the dream of winning their first Euro is dashed.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
With the crack of gunfire and a streak of blood, the U.S. presidential election campaign has entered
France 24, your economy explained. Liberté, égalité, actualité.
Hello, you're watching France 24 with me, Haxi Myers-Belkin. These are today's headlines. US politics must never be a literal battlefield, God forbid, a killing field. The words of US President Joe Biden as he addresses the nation from the Oval Office one day after his political rival Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt during a campaign rally. Gaza reels after the latest series of deadly Israeli airstrikes across the enclave. An attack on a UN-run school on Sunday, the fifth time in just over a week that Gazan schools, used as shelter by displaced Palestinians, have been hit. And ecstatic scenes in Spain and some familiar head-scratching in England as Spain are crowned the champions of European football for a record fourth time. The side's 2-1 victory secured by backup striker Mikel Oyarzabal just as the game seemed destined for extra time. In a rare primetime address from the Oval Office, US President Joe Biden told the nation that peaceful resolution to political conflict is the only way forward, as he acknowledged that the upcoming presidential election will be a time of testing. Biden was speaking...
It's so easy. So come on. Nominate now.
At AustralianOfTheYear.org.au.
Today, US President Joe Biden urges Americans to stand together after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Politics must never be a little battlefield, God forbid, a killing field.
The former president now in Milwaukee, where he'll be formally endorsed as the Republican candidate. Police find 2 bodies in a Melbourne river, but say the people died in separate incidents. Victoria's Premier calls for the suspension of the CFMEU's construction division from the State Labor Party and refers criminal allegations to authorities. A royal visit. King Charles and Queen Camilla set to head to New South Wales and the ACT in October. Good afternoon and welcome to ABC News. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. US President Joe Biden has delivered a rare speech from the Oval Office.
Take a look at what happened.
Donald Trump was quickly taken off the stage by Secret Service agents after a bullet grazed his right ear during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania Saturday. The FBI called the shooting an assassination attempt. A prosecutor said the suspected gunman and at least one attendee are dead.
As you know, there was a grandstand, a very large area, a lot of people there when this all unfolded. The former president had come out and begun to speak shortly after 6 o'clock this evening, and within about 10 to 15 minutes, a number of sounds were heard, and it became apparent that shots were being fired in that direction. It was a chaotic scene. Law enforcement, I believe, acted heroically, quickly identifying and neutralizing the threat, as well as responding to assist the various victims.
Trump's campaign said the former president was fine after the ordeal. The FBI identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Crooks. There's been no word on the motive. Eyewitnesses described the chaotic scenes after shots rang out.
We noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police are like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see it from right here.
President Joe Biden, Trump's archrival, condemned the attack, as well as former President Barack Obama. Trump's private jet landed shortly after midnight Sunday at Newark Airport in New Jersey, where he planned to spend the night at his private residence. Candidates in Rwanda's presidential election wrapped up campaigning Saturday. Incumbent President Paul Kagame spoke to thousands of supporters at a rally in the capital, Kigali. Monday's vote is expected to extend Kagame's rule and that of his Rwanda Patriotic Front by 5 years.
It's a political phenomenon.
It is a political phenomenon. That's why many people outside Rwanda do not understand and carelessly speak about Rwanda. I have no problem with those who do not speak about Rwanda. But if you have to talk about Rwanda, make sure you fully know Rwanda. Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda managed to attract just 100 supporters at a rally on the final day of campaigning. Habineza and another independent contender, Philippe Mpaimana, have struggled to pull crowds to their events. Their supporters are hopeful regardless.
The reason as to why I support the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda is so clear, that their manifesto is so clear to Rwandans. Their manifesto talks about promoting social justice. Here we talk about the removal of the transit centers, which has been a very big problem that the Rwandans are facing. So having seen that in their manifesto, this strongly makes me a very big supporter of this party.
66-year-old Kagame, who is running virtually unopposed after 3 decades in power in the East African country, appears set to extend his long presidency in Monday's vote.
Tonight, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Serious questions over security lapses as America reels from shocking political violence.
You have an open area within such a short distance, a rooftop that was unsecured. That's a problem.
The new calls for unity in a country deeply divided.
The assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation.
And what does it mean for the presidential race?
There's going to be a rush of sympathy for the former president
as Trump gears up for the Republican National Convention.
This man just got shot, and he's raising his fist, and he's ready to keep going.
Plus, thousands of Canadians in Labrador hoping for a break.
What we do have to do is pray that this crisis will be over.
Cautious optimism tonight amid some positive signs.
There is no significant growth in the size of the fire.
Mason Jewelry.
This is Asia Now.
It's 11 a.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 8:30 in New Delhi, and 10 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Samtani. At this hour, Joe Biden decries political violence after an assassination attempt on his rival, Donald Trump. The U.S. president made a rare address from the Oval Office, calling for unity and insisting that the country must resolve its differences at the ballot box. China's GDP growth slows to 4.7% in the second quarter, significantly missing forecasts as top Communist Party officials gather in Beijing for a key political meeting. And China issues a navigational warning barring entry to parts of the South China Sea ahead of military drills this week. It comes just a day after Beijing conducted joint exercises with Moscow in the Pacific.
Thank you for watching and privilege of your time. This is Amish Shakil 5858
I am Amir Woodman. Have a good life.